Alyssa here, conscious evolution coach for creative nonconformists, and I am so excited to talk to you about chapter 2 of this book, You Are a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. Pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. So this book is just really fucking cool and inspiring. It's like very entertaining and fucking fun to read. I love it so much. And so I just wanted to share with you some of the ideas from the second chapter of the book. I'm going to be going through every single chapter, and one of the best ways that I learn and integrate information is by speaking it. So I'm curious if you know what is your best learning style, because that is really important to know. Do you learn best by getting your hands in it and doing it, or by hearing it or writing it, or all of those things? That's an important thing to understand about yourself. And I believe that, for myself, I really learn best when I am speaking the information that I've been studying. It really helps to land within me, to activate it and to kind of ground it. So today I want to talk about chapter 2. So, and the reason why I'm doing this is because not only do I fucking love talking about the things that I read about, which is probably the first and foremost reason why I'm doing this, but the next reason is because I really feel passionately about liberating people from their bullshit beliefs around money, because there are too many people that have some fucked up ideas about money, and they are not allowing themselves to have all the wealth and abundance in their life that they deserve. So that's my next biggest reason for talking about this book and sharing this information in my own kind of way, because more people that are heart-centered, amazing, creative entrepreneurs and leaders and healers and teachers need to have a lot of money so that they can have a greater influence and impact in this world and help as many people as possible and get to have the freedom of having their needs met and getting to experience everything that they desire to experience, which requires money most of the time. And that's something that a lot of people don't want to fully acknowledge. And that is an important thing that that's been challenging on my journey, that I have been acknowledging, because money allows you to have the resources at your service to be able to serve in a bigger and more impactful way. So in chapter 2, Jen talks about how our realities are make-believe. And so what she means by that is that we literally believe whatever we've told ourselves, okay? So our perceptions are our filter for our perceived reality. So, for example, there could be a car accident and you could have 10 witnesses. All of those witnesses, if you ask them to recount that experience and what they saw, will give you a little bit different rendition or account of what actually happened. Some of them may say that a person's car was even a different color than it actually was. All kinds of things can happen. So it's really important to understand this, that by whatever we're believing, that is absolutely influencing the way that we are perceiving our reality, the way that we perceive our world. The internal and the external are intricately linked. They are mirrors, and we're always being shown in our external reality what we hold most deeply to be true and what we value and what we believe. It is shown to us clearly in our external reality. And that's something that a lot of people either don't even think about, or they're not aware of, or they don't want to accept and believe, and then take responsibility for changing their beliefs, or, you know, alchemizing their limitations so that they can have a life that's more in alignment with their true heart's desires. Okay, so the subconscious mind around money is another thing that Jen talks about in this chapter, in chapter 2. And she mentions that the subconscious has 3 attributes that are really important. The subconscious is primal, sneaky, and doesn't want to be dethroned. She uses the example of the Little Prince. So like a 7-year-old little boy that is like basically taking over the kingdom and doesn't really have that emotional and mental maturity to be running the show. However, most of us do walk around life like fucking children in adult bodies because we've been programmed. You know, our hardware is like running, well, it's like we're running software from our childhood in our adult years, right? Because we come into this world completely open, and we are essentially learning from 0 to 7 years of age. We're absorbing all of this. We're making sense of the world where everything comes in, and there is no filter. We're trying to figure that out. So because of that, we take on the emotions and perceptions and beliefs around money that our immediate environment shows to us. So we attach beliefs, thoughts, feelings around money and issues related to money from our experience as a child. It's just how it is. And we can change that. That's the fucking beautiful thing, is that we can change this. And it's super exciting when you do, because you blow your own fucking mind by what is possible, because you're now shifted out of this, default operating system into a new operating system by shifting your beliefs, by letting go and essentially like alchemizing, transmuting, however you want, whatever you want to call it, by not buying into and giving your energy to these beliefs that were kind of given to you by no choice of your own, and then now opting into a new fucking paradigm of where money is love, and you are, you value yourself fully, and your beliefs around money are completely different. So with those 3 attributes of the subconscious, when Jen talks about it being primal, what she's saying there, from what I gathered and what I've learned in my own life, is that your unconscious is running these beliefs that are based in survival, in fear, in wanting to give you a sense of safety and security. It's very, very much like fear driven. So anytime that we challenge that, we will come up against all of our fears, all of our doubts, all of that shit will come up. So a lot of people, when I've coached people, and specifically talking about the topic of money, will say, Alyssa, I started doing these things that you suggested, or I started, shifting my beliefs around money, or, I'm doing this work, and then now all of a sudden the shit is hit the fan. Like, now I've got this new bill, and I've got this thing that is unexpected, and what's happening? I thought I was like liberating myself from this poverty consciousness, and why is all this shit coming up? Well, it's because it's being brought to your attention to clear, because when you're making that decision, and energetically you're putting forth a new, essentially it's like a step or this decision, and you're aligning to it. It's like, I liken it to almost like a calibration, where you're calibrating right now, and when you're putting yourself, you're calibrating to this new level. Anything else that's been pulling you down is going to come up and try to grab you and bring you down again, because that's just the energetics behind it. You have to get it. You have to clear that stuff in order for you to fully now rest in this new calibrated existence and paradigm shift that you're moving towards, okay? And that you're you're intending upon, because otherwise you just can't really get there. You can't get solid within that without clearing that stuff. So, I mean, it's happened to me time and time again where I make a decision, and then guess what? When you make that choice and you make that commitment, then everything that needs to be cleared will come up for you. It's all, I mean, some people call it shadow, some people call it all your limiting beliefs. But that's just like the nature of things, as I have experienced. And it is so important to not allow that to deter you, not to see that or perceive that or make it mean something else. It's literally on purpose. That will happen when you choose to do something different. You will attract and like bring up what it's like showing you what has been hidden before. Okay. So it's like the hidden things that you were not aware of, that were fucking running your life in some ways, are going to now come to the surface and say, oh, well, so you want to do something different. Well, here you go. Here's some shit to look at, because we're not going to let you do something different unless you're going to look at this and fucking kill it or alchemize it or transmute it, whatever you want to call it. You got to kill that shit. I like using that term. Sounds good to me. So the second attribute was it's sneaky. So we kind of talked about that, right? It's like unconscious. So it's not going to be in your conscious awareness. And then the third attribute, Jen talks about the subconscious being, it doesn't want to be dethroned. So yes, it will do whatever it takes to make sure that you stay where you're at, because our minds can measure what we can possibly lose, but we cannot see what we're going to fully gain, because it's the unknown. We have not experienced it before, so we don't have a reference point for that, and that is scary to our, our unconscious. It's scary. We're like, oh, well, I don't know what this is going to be like. It could be fucking horrible, but you know what? It's not going to be. And so that's what we need to work through. Another thing that I want to share from this chapter is that Jen talks about this. She uses this really cool metaphor. I fucking love metaphors. So she uses this metaphor of our mindset as like this bus, where the driver is your beliefs. I made a little notes of it right here. So the driver of the bus is our beliefs. So this is what we fucking believe. Like, I believe money is hard. So I'm driving this bus believing money is hard. Hard to come by. I'm fucking broke. Okay. For an example, your thoughts are the tour guide. So it's this other person sitting up at the front of the bus, kind of like giving a little narration of what's going on. Oh, look at over there. There's the money that I can't have, like giving these. So it's like even though the beliefs are driving the bus, the thoughts can essentially have a veto power of the beliefs, or can shift your beliefs. So the tour guide can essentially help support the driver of the beliefs to change direction. And then your words. So whatever you're speaking about in your day-to-day life, and Jen talks about this a lot in this chapter, how when you're talking about things, like the way that you speak is so powerful and so important to be aware of. So like, I encourage you to notice how you talk about your life situation and your circumstances to the closest people in your life, and how how you speak about yourself, how you speak about money, because that will be very revealing to you when you really bring awareness to that. Stop fucking talking about money like it's bad, hard, all of those things. That's going to be a huge shift for you. Okay. And then emotions are like the fuel of the bus. So that's the what really can get you to make a really powerful decision. And I think Jen uses an example in the book of someone, maybe being terrified to fly, and then their friend is really sick or something, they need help, and they're just like, fuck it, I'm getting on that plane. I got to overcome my fear, because they're in that emotional space of like, this emotion's driving me. I love my friend. This is what matters, and I will do whatever it takes. So emotions can really help to carry us into that space of doing whatever it takes, which brings us to action. Action is, Jen talks about the action being the road that is being paved. So action is literally the way that we are getting to where we're fucking going, is we're taking that action. So I just love that whole metaphor of like the bus. And I think that the last time I read this book a few years ago, I actually drew it out. Like I drew the bus and put the labels like beliefs, thoughts, words, you know, and because it's just fucking fun for me. And that's also part of my learning style, is like doing the thing. And let's see, what else do I want to mention here? So rewriting your narratives around things. I mean, I think that this is just an important concept in general, like the way that those stories that we tell ourselves are intertwined with our perception. And that's how that's the lens that we view the world in, right? So if we're telling ourselves stories about, you know, money that don't fucking serve us, of course we're not going to be seeing what we say we want consciously reflected in our reality. So it's really important to look at, what are the messages that I received about money growing up? You know, this is just kind of like a basic mindset work, like mindset work 101, right? Like looking at, what are the messages that I received around money? Did my parents fight about money? Like, for example, for me, my dad would he bought some stuff for Christmas, and then he returned the things that he bought, like the gifts, because I think he felt guilty. He felt like he spent too much money. So one of the ways that affected me and how that modeled behavior, the way that I interpreted that as a child and then brought it into my adulthood, was that I could have some things work out for me, some nice things, but then they'd eventually get taken away. Those good things in life don't really last. Okay? So that's a really important thing to look at, is what are the messages that I received around money, because that is driving you. That is running in the background, and you are not even, probably fully aware of it, but to have that, to question yourself that way will bring up those things for you, and then you can shift the way that you're talking about money and shift those beliefs. There's a whole process, and it's shifting beliefs isn't the process itself is not complicated. It's just the fact that, are you going to be dedicated to alchemizing beliefs, right? Are you going to be dedicated to it? Are you just going to play around with it and say, oh yeah, I noticed I have that belief. Oh yeah, that's kind of fucked up. And then go about your day? Or are you going to be this, I don't like this. What am I going to do differently? And then continue to rewire yourself, because that's what is going to give you the real lasting change. It's your level of commitment to shifting your mindset around money. And then the last thing I want to share with you is Jen's mantra from this chapter, which is, I love money and money loves me. Try that on, see how it feels. If it feels weird and uncomfortable for you, then you have some work to do. And that's okay, right? Because we need to know. Otherwise we can't change. We need the awareness, then we can make a choice, right? So I hope you enjoyed this little exploration of the second chapter of You Are a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. I can't wait to come back and talk to you about chapter 3. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.